You have the whole future of an employee with the stroke of a pen. I'm the vice president for TALOGY here in the Middle East and Africa. I personally haven't subscribed to AI in assessment yet.
What do you think organizations can do to stick to the assessment and make it really accurate without dehumanizing the process?
Well, I think, as you say, it's very important that we're using assessments appropriately.
What's the most unexpected insights that you gained through working in the organizational psychology?
One of the things that I noticed quite early on that didn't actually necessarily surprise me, but made me certainly more mindful.
So if you have a superpower to change one thing, is common in the corporate cultures.
And what we've done is we've gone into organizations and we've done coaching skills for people managers.
Oh, Amanda.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm so happy to see you today at the Assessment and Development Summit.
Thank you.
And even more happier to have you on my podcast, Not From the Couch.
Thank you.
And I truly admire a lot the purpose behind the event about humanizing the assessment and development process, because it's a double-edged sword. You have the whole future of an employee with the stroke of a pen. You can decide if they would move forward with their career or would lose the job or would get promoted or not. So this is something that is truly sensitive and needs a consideration. So thank you for this amazing idea. But first, I want to ask you, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Gosh, well, I'm Amanda Waite. I'm the vice president for TALOGY here in the Middle East and Africa. And we are essentially psychologists. So what we're trying to do is put some science behind the way in which we assess and develop people. Because as you said, we're in an incredibly pivotal role. We can affect someone's career, whether they start in an organization, whether they flourish and grow in an organization. We have a huge responsibility. Yeah. So I agree with what you said at the beginning. It's really important that we have a consistent and appropriate and fair methodology.
What do you think organizations can do to stick to the assessment and make it really accurate without dehumanizing the process? Because many people are concerned about the AI tools of the assessments nowadays and the technology. And they said this is not fair because it's all about data and numbers and stuff like that.
Well, I think, as you say, it's very important that we're using assessments appropriately. I personally haven't subscribed to AI in assessment yet. I think it is important that it's human, and I think we are measuring the right things. I think it's, when we look at high potential, we're probably looking at three things. We're looking at someone's personality and cognitive aptitude. Can they solve problems? Can they develop in the career? We're looking at those fundamental personality attributes. And then we're looking at those career, the foundational knowledge, the functional knowledge, the business and the market knowledge. So for me, it has to be personal. It can't actually be about AI and it's about numbers. It's more than that.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting this, because you know what? Many people doesn't get fair opportunities because I don't remember the accurate name of the tools that is used by the recruitment agencies or the recruiters or the HR systems in many organizations, is that they select the profiles and CVs according to the keywords. So some people, they just, maybe because you didn't write 2 or 3 keywords, you lost your chance to get the job or to get the opportunity, which is not fair. But also, let's us be fair. It's not fair for the recruiters to look into more than 3,000 CV or 2,000 CV. So that's why I asked you.
I mean, technology is a blessing and it's a curse, because as you say, we can now see when a vacancy is available. And as a result, as you say, a recruiter might be presented with 3,000 CVs. So the technology is trying to sift all of that. And as you say, they may not even make it into the funnel. But we may do, then it's where we start. We start at the point of assessment. But as you say, technology is a bit of a blessing and it's a bit of a curse at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. So how can assessment just spot the red flags about the fixed mindset, because this is one of the most crucial problems, or let's say challenges. I don't want to say a problem, but challenges in many organizations. So some people, they take the job for granted and they stay there for like 10 years, 20 years, because they have connection or they are in good terms with their managers and stuff like that. So they have the fixed mindset. They are not they are not flexible enough to change and to develop and to do this stuff. So how can assessments spot that?
Yeah. I think what assessments do is they enable us to have a really personalized development journey. So if we feel there's a problem with a culture, with people staying too long, with becoming fixed, actually by having an assessment, we start interrupting that mindset. And then we can also really hone in on those specific development journeys, because actually it's through measurement that we can personalize development. So if we have an organization, and we work with plenty like organizations, especially in the government sector, where we are looking for transformation, we're looking for change, we're looking to reflect today's economy, which has become increasingly digital, increasingly complex. So we're trying to transform these organizations to become more flexible and bring them up to date. So we are often involved in assessing leaders and actually then determining what can we do in terms of their development journeys, both individually and as a group. And quite often, as you say, it's endemic, it's a cultural thing. So what we're trying to do is kind of with improved self-awareness, make somebody aware of those attributes, make somebody aware of the possibility as well of what the future could hold and their role in it. Because as leaders, we need them. We need them to help us drive transformation and change.
Sure.
And if it's not an attribute they're comfortable with, then we've got to support them. But we don't know whether they're comfortable or not unless we assess them first. So I think assessment for me and development are intrinsically linked. If we know what the problem is, we can address it.
But also, I believe it's essential to educate employees about developing a growth mindset. Yes, it's not only about sharing what's the vision or what's the value or what's the purpose and what they are doing, and involving them with the big strategy. Yeah, that's very important, of course. So I believe it's not only about spotting the red flags about the fixed mindset, but also raising the awareness about the importance of developing a growth mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I heard you have been working in the organizational psychology. So let's first, if you can explain briefly, what is the organizational psychology for people who doesn't know?
Okay.
How would you?
How you describe it? Gosh, it's a broad brush these days. I should say with occupational psychology, we are essentially trying to understand that individual and trying to understand their capabilities, also their career aspirations, how we can develop them, how we can engage them, what engages one person like yourself and what engages me is different. And what we need to do through the occupational assessments that we use is determine what somebody's individual career might look like and their individual needs, development needs might look like, and also how am I going to motivate them and engage them. And to your point about growth mindset, how do I actually enable them to grow and to flourish? What sort of corporate culture do I need to ensure that this individual is motivated and engaged?
Yeah, that's amazing. So what's the most unexpected insights that you gained through working in the organizational psychology?
I feel like going back to one of the things you mentioned earlier about humanizing assessment. When we've actually come to assess leaders, I think one of the things that I noticed quite early on that didn't actually necessarily surprise me, but made me certainly more mindful, is that actually there are some leaders who are really going to embrace being assessed. And they will actually enjoy the assessment process. And then there are some leaders who are going to really resist. And they're going to say things like, I've been in this job for 20 years. Why am I going to be assessed? What are you going to do with my results? Who's going to see them? Am I going to lose my job? There's a lot of concerns that people have when it comes to being assessed. And actually, I guess one of the things that I've learned over the years is that communication is everything. What we want to do is engage people in the process, and we want to make sure that people know what's going to happen to their results, and they understand why we're using them, and that they are committed to the bigger picture. This idea that we are going to have to leave a legacy. We need to think about succession. We need to think about becoming better leaders and constantly pushing the bar in our organizations. And actually, we need to do that through assessment. We need to actually have those, again, a personalized development journey, as well as a kind of a cultural development journey, because actually leaders are intrinsically linked with the culture of the organization. So if you want to fix the culture, you kind of got to get the leaders on board. They are the culture.
I also faced a lot of cases through my career about people who doesn't have the proper experience. And you just make them feel safe that, okay, I'm with you. You can try, you communicate properly, the goals and the vision of the organization and everything. And you know what? They excel. Yeah, because they just feel first that you communicated everything. So they feel safe. They feel they know everything. Yeah. Second, because they feel the ownership of taking the whole journey and trying and learning and growing. And I believe this is one of the most powerful things that you can do to.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking now about the concept of psychological safety. And we spend a lot of time working with leaders to create an environment where employees are psychologically safe. They can put their hand up if they see a problem without fear of reprisal. They can actually present ideas. An organization becomes more creative when individuals feel that they can put their hand up and make a recommendation or suggest their own ideas. Creativity, we can harness that creativity if a leader feels comfortable, A, creating that space, B, not having all the answers. The old leader and the old leadership style was about, I'm the leader, I know everything, you do whatever you tell me to do. The new leader in this more complex world is a leader that's uncomfortable with ambiguity, uncomfortable that they don't have the answers, and that actually some of their staff do have the answers. So actually, a leader needs to be really comfortable in creating that space and really comfortable in not having all the answers. So actually, you're creating psychological safety, not only for staff, but actually for the leaders as well. And we really can only do that, again, through awareness. So a lot of the time when we're using assessments, we're making people aware that actually they need to be open to the possibility that their subordinates have answers that they don't have.
But from your experience, if you're talking to someone right now who is experiencing or facing a toxic workplace or working with a toxic leader, and they are scared to talk because, some leaders, they make their life miserable. They may lose their job. They may lose the promotion or anything. And there is a lot of people out there who can't afford it. They have kids, they have bills to pay, and everything. So how can they protect their mental health or speak for themselves?
Yeah.
But at the same time, without losing the job.
It's a very interesting question. What should somebody do in a toxic environment? There's a couple, obviously, of options. One is to try and raise it in the way that actually the individual that's causing that toxicity, trying to make them aware of the impact they're having not only on you, but others, but in a way that's respectful. So that actually, you don't get to that situation where you have got friction and conflict. I think the second thing I would potentially explore is there someone you can talk to? Somebody perhaps from the human resources team, and make them aware of the impact this individual's having on others. And then I think finally your only recourse is actually to explore other roles outside of the company, or potentially other roles inside the company, potentially. But as you say, people have, they've got bills to pay, they've got mortgages to pay. It's not easy for everybody to up sticks and leave.
Yeah.
I've personally been in that situation where I have decided that I need to leave the organization. The values and my values were not aligned. And actually, as something is that fundamental, actually, this is not the place for me. And it's a difficult decision to make. It's not easy to leave an organization and join another one.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that some people see here today are facing toxic environments, and I think try and change it from within respectfully. I think potentially seek other people's support, and if not, if it really is a clash, potentially look elsewhere.
So if you have a superpower to change one thing that is common in the corporate cultures,
Yes. What would it be? Yeah. Okay. We spend a lot of time actually working with some organizations who've really embraced this. And what we've done is we've gone into organizations and we've done coaching skills for people managers. And there are some companies, I'll mention one of them, PDO Oman. It's the petrol development company in Oman. And they have committed to actually providing coaching skills for line managers training. It's an accredited program for anyone in a people management role. And that is paying dividends because leaders are becoming aware of their role in the development of others, in their role in creating that psychological safety, their role in actually giving feedback, receiving feedback without fear of consequence for their own role as a leader, and without creating that safe environment for others. So I think if I could wave a magic wand, it would be to make sure that anybody in a people management role recognizes their responsibility in growing and developing others.
Thank you for really highlighting this. This is actually one of the best superpowers I have heard on the podcast, because our slogan is use your power for positive change. We always have this superpower question, and many leaders, they don't know that is one of the most important roles that they have, or the main role is to help their team to grow, absolutely, and to develop those skills and to learn. They don't pay much attention to this.
And really, for me, that is the leadership role. They're the custodian of the company. And the company is all about growth and development, whether it's at a company level or an individual level. So actually, if a leader is not focused on developing others, they are not fulfilling their role appropriately. That is their role for organization development and people development.
So that's why I was very happy to hear in this assessment and your speech when you talked about the importance of analyzing humans psychologically and their personality and everything. So to make sure before you promote someone, or before you hire someone, or before you assign some tasks or job to someone, you need to know if their assessment or their personality is matching this.
Yeah.
So really thank you for this insightful speech that you made, your keynote.
Yeah.
And the last thing is that your contribution. So as I told you, our main slogan is use your power for positive change. So we are raising the awareness among leaders like yourself to use their power to help other people climb and rise in their careers. So what is the contribution that you want to?
Well, my contribution is for the first 5 leaders who want to step forward. The world is complex. It's ambiguous, as we know. It can be hard. We've got some expertise around resilience. We've got a really great questionnaire, which will help us to kind of unpack those things that are actually causing us the most stress. And also will help us actually put together strategies for how to become more resilient and more comfortable with ambiguity and challenge. So come and take the TALOGY's resilience questionnaire, and we'll give you a feedback session and help you create your development journey.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you very much for your contribution. Been wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And thank you to all those people who've listened today.